The cabin lights dim one row at a time, softening the plane until everything feels muted, voices lowered, movements careful, lives briefly suspended above the dark. Maribel Cruz waits. She doesn't move when the lights go down. She waits until the attendants pass, until blankets are pulled up and eyes close. Only then does she unzip the faded canvas pouch in her lap. Her movements are slow, practiced, not from calm, but from caution. Her baby daughter, Camila, sleeps against her chest, 7 months old, warm, too warm, one tiny hand gripping Maribel's shirt as if afraid it might disappear. The fever broke hours ago. The fear didn't. She slips her hand into the pouch and sets the coins on the tray table one by one. Quarters, dimes, nickels, sticky pennies that smell faintly metallic. She counts silently, lips pressed tight, shoulders angled away from the man beside her. She doesn't want witnesses. The number lands heavy in her chest, $11.72. That's it. Not in her purse. Not in her bank account. In the world. Her throat tightens, but she doesn't cry. Crying never helped. Crying wastes air, and air is something she can't afford to lose. The plan had been painfully simple: an overnight flight to Seattle, formula when she lands, a bus to the funeral home before noon. Her brother's body would be there. She needed to be there too, but formula costs more than she remembered. She checked twice, then again, doing the math in a grocery aisle while Camila whimpered softly against her chest. She was $187 short of feeding her daughter. Not embarrassing, not inconvenient, but dangerous. Maribel knows what dehydration looks like in babies. She's memorized the warnings, bargained through sleepless nights with every version of God she half believes in. She sweeps the coins back into the pouch quickly, the soft clink sounding louder than it should. Shame blooms hot and sharp. Then she notices the napkin on the tray table, folded neatly, deliberately. On top of it lies a $50 bill, crisp, clean, still. Maribel freezes and turns her head toward the man beside her. He isn't looking at her. He faces forward, eyes on the screen, hands resting loosely in his lap, calm as if nothing unusual has happened. Without turning, he speaks evenly. You dropped this. For words, simple and impossible. Maribel opens her mouth, then closes it. She could say she didn't drop anything, that he watched her count every coin, that she has nothing left to pretend with. The baby stirs, then settles. Maribel picks up the napkin, unfolds it just enough to confirm what she already knows, and slides the bill into her pouch. No thank you. No explanation. She turns to the window and stares into the dark, blinking until the sting behind her eyes fades. For the first time in 2 days, she exhales fully, not because the problem is solved, but because someone saw it and didn't look away. The rest of the flight passes in quiet. No words exchanged, no glances stolen, just the low hum of the engine and the steady rhythm of Camila's breathing. When the wheels touch down in Seattle, the cabin lights flicker on and people stir, already stepping back into their lives. Maribel stays seated, adjusts the blanket around her daughter, gathers her few belongings, and steps into the aisle. She glances back once. The seat beside her is empty. The man is gone. For a moment she wonders if she imagined him. Then, as she walks into the cold, quiet terminal, she feels it again, that sense that this wasn't an ending, but the beginning, and that somewhere behind her, unseen, a story has already started to follow her. The Seattle airport is quiet, stripped of daytime chaos. The soft echo of cleaning crews moving in the distance is the only sound, accompanied by the repetitive hum of security announcements looping every few minutes. Maribel Cruz sits on a cold metal bench near baggage claim, Camila still asleep in her arms, her small body warm against Maribel's chest. Her hands clutch the diaper bag, fingers tightening around it as if it could somehow protect her from the impossible. She has no ride, no money, no backup plan. Every screen on her phone shows fares far above what she can afford. The hope she had on the plane now feels distant, like a warm glow fading under a harsh winter sky. Maribel closes her eyes, taking a steadying breath. She hears footsteps. She looks up. Nathan is standing a few steps away, calm, collected, carrying his coat folded over one arm and his carry-on beside him. There's no intrusion in his posture, no expectation, only a steady presence. Maribel straightens slightly, instinctively protective. "I'm fine," she says quickly, hoping to end the encounter before it begins. Nathan nods once. "No pressure," he says evenly. "You have someone picking you up?" She hesitates. She could lie. Pretend yes. Protect herself from further obligations, from the unknown, from vulnerability. But something in his eyes, the way he doesn't demand an answer, the calm neutrality, makes it hard to hold up her usual defenses. "Not anymore," she admits quietly. The pause stretches between them, filled with airport echoes and the distant rattle of luggage wheels. Nathan scans the empty terminal, then looks back at her. "I've got a car waiting." Her jaw tightens. She shakes her head before he can continue. "You don't have to. I'm not offering to rescue you," he clarifies. "Just a ride." His words are deliberate, careful, as if respecting boundaries is as important as the offer itself. Maribel studies him for a long beat, weighing survival against pride. She's exhausted, wary, untrusting, but Camila stirs in her arms, a reminder that time is a luxury she doesn't have. Finally, she nods. The briefest acknowledgement, a small surrender to circumstance rather than trust. Nathan doesn't smile. He simply moves forward with quiet efficiency, opening the passenger door of a black electric SUV parked near the exit, helping her load Camila into the back seat. Inside, the air is warm, faintly citrus-scented, and the car smells like careful preparation rather than opulence. Nathan sits behind the wheel, hands resting lightly. He doesn't ask where they're going. Maribel doesn't volunteer. Silence stretches between them, punctuated only by the soft click of seatbelts and the low hum of the engine. After a few blocks, Maribel speaks, her voice low, flat with fatigue. "I'm here for my younger brother's funeral." Nathan glances at her briefly. "I'm sorry," he says quietly. She nods. He was 24. Worked at a machine shop. There was an accident. She doesn't elaborate. There is no need. The story is heavy enough in the words already spoken. Nathan's posture shifts subtly. His shoulders sag, jaw tightens. "What was his name?" he asks softly. "Lucas," she replies. "Lucas Cruz." The traffic light ahead turns red. Nathan slows, stops. Almost to himself, he whispers, "I knew a Lucas Cruz." Maribel turns, startled. "What?" Nathan doesn't answer immediately. Instead, he meets her gaze with a strange intensity. Not fear, not confusion, but something deeper. The light turns green, the car moves forward, but the silence that follows is no longer just quiet. It is layered, weighted with memory, recognition, and an unspoken connection that neither fully understands yet. Maribel's chest tightens. For a moment, she feels the precarious balance between trust and self-preservation tilt. Nathan's presence is an offering, a lifeline, a potential threat, all at once. The terminal fades behind them, replaced by early morning streets glistening with rain. Maribel grips Camila tighter, heart beating a little faster. She doesn't speak, doesn't question, doesn't decide yet. She only allows herself to be present, noticing that for the first time in days, someone else has chosen to show up. And somewhere between the darkened streets and the quiet hum of the SUV, a story begins to unfold. A story of kindness, of quiet recognition, and of the first steps toward an unexpected ally. The funeral home sits quietly on the outskirts of Seattle, shrouded in fog and the damp smell of winter rain. Maribel clutches Camila close as she steps inside, the baby's tiny body warm and fragile against her own. Her arms ache, but she doesn't let herself falter. The room is muted, grays and soft shadows, folding chairs scattered, whispered condolences barely audible. At the front, a single framed photo rests on a table draped in ivory cloth. Lucas Cruz, 24 years old, eyes kind, smile crooked in that way she will never forget. Maribel steps closer, her breath hitching. She doesn't cry, not yet, but the weight of absence presses down in a way that leaves her nearly breathless. The room seems larger and smaller all at once, containing grief too vast for words and yet fragile in its silence. From the back, a shadow moves, Nathan, the stranger from the plane. He hadn't planned to enter, only meant to drop her off. Yet here he is, still present, quietly holding space without imposing. He pauses, gaze drawn to the photo. His voice is almost a whisper, not to startle, just to name what he sees. That's him. Maribel looks up sharply. What? Nathan doesn't answer immediately. He moves closer to the table, careful steps, eyes fixed on Lucas's image as if it might vanish. Then, with a subtle motion, he pulls a worn wallet from his coat pocket. From the inside flap, a photo slides out, creased, faded, unmistakable. Same denim shirt, same crooked smile. I kept this, he says softly. 4 years ago, your brother saved my life. Maribel blinks, confusion layering with incredulity. I don't understand. Nathan's voice is low, steady. It was a construction site, a non-profit housing build in Tacoma. I was funding it through my foundation. A steel beam came loose. I didn't see it until too late. Lucas pulled me back seconds before it would have crushed me. He disappeared after that day. Never sought recognition. I had to ask around just to find this photo. Maribel's fingers tighten around Camila. The revelation hits like a sudden gust. Her brother, the quiet hero, the one who never spoke of deeds, had saved this man's life. This man who has been silently showing up for her. Her throat tightens. Gratitude and grief swirl together, leaving her suspended in disbelief. Nathan's eyes meet hers, steady, unflinching. He doesn't wait for thanks. He doesn't need them. A beat passes. The room hums softly, with its own quiet weight. Maribel steps closer to the photo of Lucas, brushing a finger over the frame as if she can feel him there. Nathan's voice breaks the stillness again. He gave me a second chance. I never got to thank him. His tone softens. And now, I can try to return a piece of that by being here when it matters. Maribel's gaze flickers between him and her brother's image. She swallows, tears threatening but unfallen. He would have liked you, she whispers. Nathan offers a half-smile, humility tempered with awe. He doesn't claim credit. He doesn't step forward to fill the role of savior. He merely stays, quietly present, witness to her grief and her memory, holding the delicate line between stranger and ally. The room exhales in silence. Maribel folds the last letter Lucas had sent, a birthday card with a simple smiley face, and tucks it into her coat. She doesn't speak, doesn't need to. Nathan's presence is enough. No questions, no assumptions, no obligations. He simply remains, grounding the moment with steady calm. The grief is raw, but paired with gratitude that feels almost sacred. Outside, the rain continues to whisper against the funeral home windows. Maribel lowers Camila into her arms, finally letting herself breathe. For the first time, she doesn't feel entirely alone in the aftermath. Nathan stays, not as a savior, not as someone claiming space, but as a human willing to witness what needs seeing. The quiet presence, without expectation, becomes a lifeline she hadn't realized she needed. The funeral home fades into the background, yet the moment lingers, grief met with recognition, past and present entwined, a story of courage and kindness that can never be repaid, only remembered and lived forward. The rain drums softly on the window, a persistent rhythm that seems to echo Maribel's anxiety. Camila stirs in her arms, cheeks flushed hot against her mother's chest. Maribel's fingers press gently to the baby's forehead. The heat is immediate, alarming. Her heart races. She whispers almost to herself, "Not again, please, not again." She knows too well how quickly babies can dehydrate, how fragile their tiny bodies are when illness returns. Her hands shake as she reaches for the thermometer from the nightstand. 102.3 degrees Fahrenheit. The numbers flash across the small digital screen. Panic threatens to rise, but she forces herself to take a breath. Her mind races through the options. urgent care, hospital, a doctor's office. Each thought meets a dead end. No car. No insurance. No money. The motel's fluorescent light flickers overhead, casting a sterile glow on the peeling wallpaper, and Maribel feels the weight of absolute isolation. Camila whimpers, pressing her face into Maribel's collar. Every instinct in her body screams to fix this, to provide, to survive as she always has. But tonight, the familiar strategies, Googling, rationing, waiting, aren't enough. Her pride fights her every instinct to ask for help. She hates the thought of owing anyone anything, of appearing weak. And yet, the stakes are higher than pride. Life and death are staring her in the face. She reaches for her phone, hands trembling. No service. Frustration builds, mingled with fear. Her eyes fall on a business card tucked carefully between a folded burp cloth. Nathan Hale, Hale Technologies. She stares at the name. His face flashes across her memory. The calm, steady presence on the plane, in the airport, at the funeral home. For the first time, she allows herself to make the call. 1 ring. 2. Hello. His voice is quiet, alert, awake. It's me, she says, voice raw. I didn't know who else to call. Camila's burning up. She needs a doctor. There is no hesitation. No judgment. Send me the address. I'm on my way. 10 minutes later, headlights slice through the motel parking lot. Nathan doesn't waste a second. He jumps out, medical kit in hand, soaked from the rain, but moving with deliberate calm. He helps Maribel into the car with Camila, speaking softly but confidently. The car smells faintly of citrus, a subtle reassurance. Int. Hospital, night. The receptionist's frown is immediate. No coverage, ma'am. Our admissions require a deposit. Maribel stiffens, panic bubbling. Nathan steps forward, calm and precise. She's with me. He hands over his embossed card. The woman barely glances before waving them through. Maribel exhales, relief mingled with shame. In a dim hospital room, Camila rests under a warm blanket, tiny chest rising and falling slowly. The fever is finally responding to treatment. Maribel sits beside the crib, hands clasped tightly, unable to stop the trembling. Nathan enters quietly, 2 cups of tea in hand. She's stable, he says softly. Maribel nods, eyes fixed on Camila, voice caught somewhere between exhaustion and awe. Nathan sits across from her, observing without pressure. I know what this feels like, he says gently. She turns toward him, surprised. Do you? His voice is steady, a quiet revelation. I've sat in rooms like this, alone, watching machines keep someone I love alive. I remember thinking, how did it get this far before I asked for help? Maribel looks down, ashamed. I didn't want to owe you. He shakes his head. You don't? Then why do I keep showing up? Because someone once showed up for me when I didn't deserve it. And maybe I've been waiting for the right moment to pay that forward. His honesty strikes her. Silence falls, but it doesn't feel empty this time. Camila stirs again, not from fever but hunger. Maribel reaches for the bottle, hands trembling. Nathan doesn't intervene aggressively. He kneels beside her, preparing the formula with practiced, calm motions. His presence is grounding, without intrusion. Their fingers touch briefly as he hands her the bottle. Something passes, a quiet acknowledgement of shared responsibility, human connection, and trust. Maribel watches Camila drink, her own breath slowing for the first time in hours. You didn't have to come, she whispers, almost defensively. Nathan meets her gaze, calm. I know. So why did I? He pauses, searching for words that explain the simplicity of presence. I used to believe the world fixed itself if you worked hard enough. Then your brother pulled me out from under a wall. I couldn't stop wondering what would have happened if he hadn't. Someone did this for me once, and now I show up. The room remains quiet. Machines beep softly. The rain continues against the window. Maribel leans back in the stiff chair, Camila finally asleep in her arms. Relief, gratitude, and exhaustion settle in tandem. She isn't alone, and she can breathe. For the first time in weeks, the weight of survival feels shared. The room is quiet except for the soft hum of the heater and the faint drizzle tapping on the window. Maribel leans against the doorframe, Camila asleep against her shoulder, bundled in a faded pink blanket. Her eyes are heavy from the past night's worry, but the weight in her chest is different now. Less desperation, more anticipation. A knock at the door startles her. One gentle tap. She hesitates, heart tightening with a familiar mix of caution and curiosity. Peeking through the peephole, she sees Nathan standing in the morning drizzle, no umbrella, his sleeves rolled up, hair damp. In one hand, a small brown bag, in the other, a crisp white envelope. "I didn't want to call. Thought this was better handed over than explained," he says simply, offering the envelope. Maribel takes it slowly, fingers brushing his, and hesitates before opening. Inside is a neatly folded rental agreement, a fully furnished one-bedroom apartment in the Green Lake District, 6 months paid in full, utilities included, under her name. Her breath catches. She looks up, searching his face for some hidden motive, some catch. Nathan meets her gaze evenly. No obligation, no contact, no strings. "I just thought this could be something you could use." The offer isn't dramatic. It isn't heroic. It isn't a favor to be repaid. It's quiet, steady, human. Maribel sinks into the motel chair, holding Camila close, eyes fixed on the paper as if it carries the echo of her brother's own voice. The room smells faintly of lemon cleaner, a reminder that new beginnings don't have to be grand. They just have to be real. For the first time in years, Maribel allows herself a moment of stillness. No pretending, no planning, no panic. The lease represents more than a roof. It's autonomy, dignity restored, a foundation she can build upon without charity, without shame. She runs her fingers over Camila's tiny hand. Life is fragile, yes, but it is hers. Nathan doesn't push. He doesn't step over boundaries or rush words. He waits, patient, allowing her the space to process, to feel, to claim the small victory. Finally, Maribel speaks, voice low but clear. "I don't know what this is between us." "You don't have to," Nathan replies, calm and unshaken. Outside, sunlight pushes through the foggy morning, slipping between the motel curtains. The room glows with the kind of light that feels tangible, like opportunity itself. Maribel carefully folds the lease agreement, tucking it into her bag. Not a promise, not a path dictated for her, just a beginning. She lifts Camila, brushing a few damp curls from her face. For the first time in weeks, the day feels hers to define. Later, standing outside the small building, she surveys the quiet street of Green Lake. Camila in her arms, umbrella in one hand, tiny shoes tapping the pavement. Maribel breathes the crisp morning air. A black sedan pulls up, unmarked, calm. Nathan steps out, jeans and navy sweater, unassuming yet steady. Their eyes meet, a recognition passing silently. "Hey," he says simply. "Hey," she responds, letting her eyes soften as she watches Camila squirm and reach out toward him. Nathan kneels slightly, allowing her tiny fingers to curl around his. Connection. Memory. Presence. "Can I show you something?" he asks, not as a savior, not as a donor, just as someone who saw the world through her struggle and chose to stand beside her. Inside the modest brick building, freshly painted walls, open laptops play corners, stacked baby formula, and little notes pinned on the bulletin board greet her. The Camila Project, community help without judgment or strings, built from the idea that value isn't measured by ownership, but by what you set free. Maribel steps inside, eyes wide, voice catching. "You're giving me this?" "I'm giving you what you already started," Nathan says quietly. "Value comes from what you set free, not what you hold." Tears threaten, but she holds them back. Pride and dignity intertwine, a quiet restoration that no act of charity could ever replace. Camila giggles from her stroller, tiny hands clapping. Maribel laughs with her, disbelief and joy mingling, the sound full of hope and possibility. She touches Nathan's chest lightly, whispering, "Do you still think you gave me something priceless?" He raises an eyebrow, faintly confused. Because I don't think you did. She leans in, voice warm against his cheek.
Alive.
You just gave me back me. Outside, the rain continues, soft and insistent. Inside, a woman, a child, and a man stand in the center of something that can't be measured, only lived. Sunlight streams through the large windows of the modest community space. Fresh paint still carries the faint scent of lemon and new beginnings. Maribel steps inside, Camila in her stroller, bundled and alert, tiny fingers gripping the handlebar. Her eyes sweep over the shelves stocked with formula, diapers, and gently used baby items. Job postings and community notices are pinned neatly on the boards, already filled with handwritten requests and offers. Bus passes, tutoring, part-time babysitters. The sound of the door opening behind her makes Maribel glance up. Nathan enters quietly, coffee in hand, a warm smile that doesn't need words. She nods to him briefly, then turns back to the room. This is her space now, not as a recipient, not as a visitor, but as someone who can shape it. She runs her fingers over the clean counters, over the stacks of formula, imagining the babies who will take their first sip, mothers who will finally feel seen. She places Camila on a small rug in the play corner, letting her toddle under careful supervision. Watching her daughter explore, Maribel realizes that the fear and uncertainty she carried for so long is replaced with a steady purpose. Volunteers begin arriving. Some familiar faces from the neighborhood, some strangers drawn by the notes Nathan helped her distribute. Each carries small donations, eager hands, warm smiles. Maribel greets them, her voice calm but firm, directing traffic, organizing shelves, and offering gentle reassurance. She's not giving orders. She's guiding, creating a rhythm that allows the space to breathe. A young mother approaches timidly, holding a folded piece of clothing and a question in her eyes. Maribel kneels to her level, accepting the package, offering a reassuring nod. "Take whatever you need," she says softly. The mother exhales, relief washing over her face, and thanks her quietly. This is no handout. It's a recognition of shared struggle, a practical dignity restored. Nathan moves to the side, quietly setting up a laptop for online donations and volunteer signups. He doesn't interfere with Maribel's rhythm. He watches, patient and steady, a quiet presence like a tether to a world that can be overwhelming for those in need. Their eyes meet briefly across the room. A nod, unspoken understanding, mutual respect. Maribel steps back to take in the scene. Children playing, mothers laughing softly, volunteers coordinating, the shelves stocked with essentials. It's not perfect. It's not polished. But it works. Every item, every gesture, every moment is infused with care. She realizes the power isn't in what she receives, it's in what she gives and how she gives it. A small crowd gathers around the job board, scanning postings for part-time work, apprenticeships, and community classes. Maribel approaches them, offering encouragement, answering questions, connecting people with opportunities. She feels the tension of her own past loosen, replaced by focus and purpose. Every connection she fosters is a quiet rebellion against the isolation she endured. Camila toddles over to Maribel, holding a tiny blanket she picked up. Maribel smiles, scooping her daughter into her arms. "Ready," she whispers. Camila giggles, wrapping tiny arms around her neck. Maribel looks around the room, seeing not chaos, but possibility. She doesn't feel rescued. She doesn't feel indebted. She feels empowered. Nathan steps closer, speaking softly, so only she can hear. "You've built something that matters." Maribel glances at him, her gaze steady. "We built something," she corrects gently. "This is bigger than either of us." A nod passes between them, a recognition of shared effort, unspoken respect, and quiet satisfaction. The door chime jingles as more visitors arrive, some carrying bags of donations, others simply curious. Maribel greets them with warmth, offering directions, guidance, and encouragement. She realizes that the ripple effect of small acts, sharing formula, offering a ride, listening without judgment, has created this living space of care and support. Standing near the center of the room, she watches her daughter laugh at a volunteer who pretends to be a silly monster, a small hand clutched in hers. The sun glints off the windows, catching motes of dust that float lazily through the air, like tiny sparks of hope. Every shelf stocked, every note pinned, every smile shared carries weight. She understands finally that empowerment is contagious, that kindness doesn't need to be loud to be transformative. Maribel turns to Nathan. "Do you ever think small acts can change much?" she asks softly. He shakes his head slightly, smiling. Kindness doesn't change the world loudly. It just makes it livable again. Maribel watches Camila explore, volunteers bustling, mothers and children engaging, laughter and quiet conversation filling the room. This is her life now, not defined by desperation or debt, but by agency, purpose, and the quiet, profound satisfaction of giving back. For the first time in years, she feels whole. Not rescued, not indebted, empowered.